Bitcoin is doing good, so are altcoins. Today is definitely a good day. Look at Bitcoin. It's nearing 16,000, and if it passes 16,000, it'll be the first time since 2018. Very, very bullish, and altcoins are also coming up as well. Today, there's a few things I want to share. One of the biggest Bitcoin bears, Dr. Doom, now recognizes Bitcoin as a store of value. And also another Wall Street guy, a well-known guy, is now 100% into Bitcoin. Big surprise. And there's other things I want to talk about that's also very, very bullish. Overall, today is a good day. Let's get started. So let's start out with Bitcoin's chart, $15,865. It's definitely moving in the right direction, right? And if you're looking at my chart right now, 4-hour chart, you could see that this is a pretty classic pattern in terms of it's nearing the apex of this triangle or wedge, and it's looking like it wants to break out, right? And if it does, if it breaks out and gets to 16,000 plus, so after 16,000, guess what? The next stop is 17,000. 17,333 to be exact. And after that, it's 20,000, right? So Bitcoin is doing its thing. It's moving up slowly. And this is very, very different from the FOMO days of 2017 or even the FOMO days of 2019 when Bitcoin went up to 14,000 from 3,000. This is very different. This is a slow and steady climb. This is not huge 1,000, 2,000 point jumps every single day. It's not like that. There are up and downs. You can see there are pretty drastic up and downs. Well, not drastic compared to before, but you can see there's up and downs. But guess what? It keeps going up and up and up and up because there's just not enough Bitcoin to go around. There's a lot of buying behind the scenes. We're starting to hear more and more of it, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And I'm not talking about from retail investors. No, this is coming from banks, yes, investment firms, hedge funds, right? Institutional investors, whales, and even publicly traded companies. They're gobbling up every Bitcoin there is. That is why right now is different, and it feels different, and Bitcoin is acting different. Everything about right now is different, but in a good way, in a very, very good way. All right, so let's get to Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom, Nouriel, he is, I don't know if he is anymore, but he was the biggest Bitcoin bear. He hated Bitcoin, right? Same thing like Warren Buffett and all those guys, Dr. Doom, economist, he hates Bitcoin. But now, in a recent interview, he recognizes Bitcoin is a store of value. So look at this quote. It may be a partial store of value because unlike thousands of others, what I call shitcoins, it cannot be so easily debased because there is at least an algorithm that decides how much the supply of Bitcoin raises over time. Yes, this has always been the case, right? Bitcoin has inflation rate that decreases over time, but there's a set supply. So it's not an unlimited supply like any fiat out there, right? You can't raise the supply of Bitcoin, and it's programmed in a way it gets harder and harder and harder to get. Miners have to spend more money on mining equipment to get more of, but right now there's just not that many. With each halving event, the miners get half the amount of Bitcoins that they gotten before, and everything is being bought up. Everything is being bought up, which is why the price goes higher. It's really a simple matter of supply and demand. That's really it, right? And now Nouriel or Dr. Doom is recognizing Bitcoin does have a store value, right? It's built into the code, something that we've known for a long time, right? Now he's dissing altcoins because he can't diss Bitcoin anymore, but this is a big turner events, right? Well, not really. I don't think it's a surprise because we're hearing everyone left and right now saying that they're pro Bitcoin. So it really should come as no surprise, but from him, maybe it is still a surprise. So here's another guy, Wall Street legend Bill Miller, reveals strong Bitcoin recommendation. He's following the footsteps of Paul Tudor Jones and others that have come out recently saying Yeah, buy Bitcoin. I didn't understand it before. Now I do. So whatever they're saying now is basically what we've known for the last 11 years. But now they're saying it because they finally get it, right? So so what did he say? Bitcoin has been very volatile, but I think right now its staying power gets better every day. I think the risks of Bitcoin going to zero are much, much lower than they ever been before. Yeah. When it's at 16,000, yeah, it's easy to say that. When it was at 3,000, it was harder to say, but it's always been the case, right? I think every major bank, every major investment bank, every major high net worth firm, let me say it again, every major high net worth firm is going to eventually have some exposure to Bitcoin or what's like it, which is gold or some kind of commodities. All right. And then he goes on and says the Bitcoin story is very easy. Supply and demand. Bitcoin supply is growing around 2.5% a year, and demand is growing faster than that. And there is going to be a fixed number of them. So again, what it really comes down to is supply and demand. Like anything out there, any kind of investment out there, supply and demand. When there's more demand than supply, guess what? The price goes up. And that is what's happening right now, right? People are starting to pay attention. And they're buying Bitcoin, and it's all being gobbled up. Like I said about the miners, there's just not that many being produced right now, and you have everyone just buying up, like Bill Miller, Dr. Doom, right? Paul Dodor Jones, Chamath, Mike Novogratz, Tim Draper. They've probably been behind the scenes buying. They're not really revealing the buys. They've been buying. They're probably dollar cost averaging. Firms like PayPal, Square buying, Microstrategy buying, right? And like what Bill Miller said, high worth, and like what Bill Miller said, high net worth firms are buying Bitcoin, but they're not going to reveal it. And banks and major investment banks are probably buying Bitcoin too, because they know the USD and fiat is not based on gold, right? Why do you need so much gold? They're about making money too. And what is the fastest horse in the race right now? It's Bitcoin, right? So I guarantee you banks around the world are buying Bitcoin at this point too. And look at this. A big Chinese bank is now selling bonds that could be bought with cash or Bitcoin. Think about it, right? The Chinese, when they sell their bonds, is usually in USD because USD is the world currency right now, right? But the fact that they're actually offering it also in Bitcoin is a huge endorsement. This shows you Bitcoin is becoming that digital currency that Jack Dorsey seems to think that it will become, right? Jack Dorsey and others seem to think that Bitcoin will become the digital currency of tomorrow. And this is a big endorsement to that. The fact that the Chinese government, first of all, allows it and recognizes it and is now utilizing it, that's a huge thing, right? So again, this is another reason why Bitcoin is going up. There's just too much. There's too much good things going on right now. MicroStrategy CEO, MicroStrategy made a big bet, $425 million bet on Bitcoin. Now they're up like 40%. They made like $175 million or something like that. It's enormous, right? And of course, he's all gung-ho about Bitcoin, as he should be. He's kind of become a face of publicly traded companies that's buying Bitcoin now. But yeah, just because he revealed it doesn't mean every other firm is going to reveal it. There's probably another dozen or so, at least, companies that's buying behind the scenes that are not revealing it. Maybe once they have enough, they will. But again, this goes towards, a lot of buying behind the scenes. Now, with all this said, is there likely to be a short-term consolidation? Yeah, probably. Bitcoin has been going up so much, right, recently. So, of course, there could be brief periods of consolidation or even retracement before the next leg up. But I do think, looking at a chart right now, it looks like it wants to make the next leg up, especially if it passes 16,000 and it holds and utilizes 16,000 as a support. I think it's going to go much higher, probably end up around 17,000. And then maybe it consolidates or it comes down a little bit. But based on what I just said, right, and what I've been saying for the last, few months or last few years, however back you want to go back, however far you want to go back, Bitcoin is in a really good spot. It's very different. And what's going on right now is not driven by FOMO. Not at all. You know, just look at your friends and family members. They're probably not talking about Bitcoin yet, right? You don't hear about it on the news that much yet. You do Google searches and trends, not that high yet. But once it passes 20,000, that's when FOMO will hit. And that's on top of everything else I've mentioned today. Yeah, so think about that. So I believe, at least for myself, it's still time to accumulate as much as possible while you can, while it's still cheap, before it just becomes too expensive, right? And what's also good is altcoins is following suit. The last week or so, altcoins have been doing much, much better over, compared to the last few months. It's been really struggling. Altcoins are coming up. And that's good because Bitcoin is kind of, taking a breather at this level, right? And usually when that happens, money flows into altcoins. So it's good to see that altcoins are being pulled up as well, right? But with that said, I think the name of the game is still Bitcoin, right? There's a lot of room for Bitcoin to grow. But as it's going higher, it's going to probably carry the altcoins along. So if you're heavy into altcoins right now, it's probably actually a good time to maybe pick up a little more, dollar cost average a little more, and wait for those periods where Bitcoin consolidates and altcoins goes up, right? And that's what we've seen for the last week or so. So if you look at the 7-day performance, something like Ethereum is surpassing Bitcoin. Chainlink is up in a big way. A lot of DeFi coins is up in a big way. But even non-DeFi like Polkadot, Cardano, VeChain, right? Tezos, Nem, Neo, they're all doing very well. But like if you look at the DeFi ones, they're doing really, really well. Like Aave up 125%, Uniswap up 55%, right? So they're doing really well. So they're still very low compared to where they were even a few months ago. So it could be still a good time to dollar cost average a little bit, or just cost average a little bit, right? While Bitcoin is going up. But the name of the game right now is still Bitcoin. All right, guys, that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Hit the like and subscribe to the channel. I do plan on having a live stream this Friday, so don't miss it, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Maybe I'll have another one tonight or tomorrow, seeing what Bitcoin does too. So make sure you follow me on Twitter. All right, what are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments below. And until next time, bye-bye.